Damn marketing agencies. As an agency owner, I speak to a lot of directors, whether it be our clients or whether it be directors in sales calls or just the business directors that I'm networked in my personal life. And so many of them have been burned by marketing agencies. Quite a common problem, right? But as an agency owner, I'm also very well networked with marketing agency owners all over the world. And you'd be surprised that 90% plus of these people are so hardworking. They care so much for their clients. This industry is so intense. The learning curve is so intense. And agency owners really do care. In this video, I wanted to give you a bit of clarity on, say, the top 4 problems that create 80% of the issues in engagements with B2B marketing agencies specifically, so that you can have some clarity. And I want to give you some simple ways to address those issues proactively. Okay, so the first issue, very common in a B2B marketing engagement. Marketing is generating lots of leads, but sales are struggling to close them, and the marketing isn't resulting in real world revenue. So it's common to be in a situation, for example, where the marketing agency generates 50 leads very quickly, but then the sales team's unable to get them on the phone, or they struggle to actually close them into real world revenue. And then often the marketing agency will blame the sales team, say they're not experienced enough, all that sort of thing. The reason for this problem, especially in the last few years, is because the social media algorithms have gotten so good, and you would think that'd be a good thing, right? But what's happened is the social media algorithms are experts at hunting down people that are filling out contact forms and signing up for sales calls. But typically, higher value decision makers that you're looking to attract in B2B aren't signing into many contact forms. And this then is compounded by the fact that social media advertising is an algorithm. And so it's cheaper to show your content to those lower value decision makers that perhaps competitors aren't competing for. And so if your marketers are really hyper focused on trying to bring in as many leads as possible for the cheapest price possible, then unconsciously the whole system optimizes towards putting the content in front of lower value decision makers and bringing in those leads that are signing up for sales calls everywhere and aren't the right type of leads. So the solution to this problem isn't too difficult, actually. The first thing is you don't want to measure number of leads, or you don't want to measure cost per lead. A much better way to measure the success of your marketing is qualified pipeline. So what that means is the lead comes in, the sales team actually gets them on the phone, marks them as qualified, so they're the right type of customer, and then marks an estimated deal value. That then becomes qualified pipeline, the value of the deals that you're bringing in that are qualified. And when you measure your marketing team on qualified pipeline, then suddenly that aligns the incentives perfectly, because that then ensures that marketing is incentivized to bring in the right deals of the right size. And so they will naturally optimize their marketing for not bringing in the cheapest leads possible, but bringing in the highest quality leads. In a B2B growth campaign specifically, bringing in high quality pipeline is actually the biggest success factor, not how many leads or the quantity of leads you bring in. Okay, next common problem in a B2B growth campaign, having no clarity on how the campaign is going and whether it's working. So your marketers control the stats and the data. They'll present typically in a monthly report, but they can present that data however they like. So they will often present it in ways that make it look like the marketing's working. Maybe they'll do that unconsciously. It's natural. But in your gut as a business owner, you might feel like, I don't think the marketing is working, but there's really no clarity on whether it's working or not. So the solution in this situation is, firstly, you need to have an agreed campaign vision that matches with your business goals. So if you don't have a vision of what you're going to achieve, like a very clear vision, then how do you know if the campaign's actually working? How do you know if you need to change? So the goal needs to be very aligned with business objectives. So for example, how many customers is the campaign going to bring in? How much qualified pipeline will the campaign bring in? How much revenue will we sign from the campaign? Once you have that clear vision, now you have a clear way to measure whether the campaign is actually achieving its goals or not. What gets measured gets managed, right? Next, once you've got that, you want to have a dashboard set up. So the dashboard would be set up in the CRM. So CRM software like HubSpot or Pipedrive, for example, have really good, clear dashboarding software. So now you can have a clear visual representation of how many results have we achieved compared to the campaign goal. It happens in real time, so everyone in the team's aware. There's crystal clear clarity on how the campaign's going. Going even deeper then, so your monthly reporting shouldn't be a silly automated report, 5 pages of data of like clicks, impressions, cost per lead, which ads are working, all sort of silly marketers metrics. Your monthly reporting needs to be that dashboard, which measures what are we achieving business-wise compared to the campaign vision. And then it really needs to have executive level insights from the marketing agency. So they should be able to interpret the clear data and show you, okay, these are the bottlenecks, these are the wins, this is how we're tracking, we're on track for our 6-month vision, or we need to change the campaign, etc. Okay, next very common problem is your marketing agency not being able to work independently. So it's quite common for a marketing agency to create content for a marketing program like ads and videos. Maybe they'll do long form posts or ebooks or things like that. But when they deliver the content, it's too shallow or it's not the right material. This is especially common in specialized B2B companies. When you're speaking to your target market, they're going to know immediately if someone doesn't have the skill set to be giving the insights that you're putting as content on the newsfeed. And so as a result, that requires you as a director to go through and spend a lot of time editing, rewriting, feedback rounds, all that sort of thing. And then as a director, you might feel that you're the one that's bringing all the ideas, even though you've hired a marketing agency. And that's the time suck that you brought in the marketing team to resolve in the first place. So a big problem, quite common in B2B specialized companies, especially. Now, the way to resolve this is to front load all of the research about the audience and then document that into a really tight document called the client avatar. So maybe 20 to 30 pages of hardcore research, really well presented. So what are the demographics of the audience? What are the pain points as they experience them? How do they speak about them? What type of words do they use? What are the benefits or deepest desires they're looking for? What are the differentiators that they see in your company that they don't see in other companies? Things like that. So if you can have your marketing agency document that crystal clearly in detail, and then if you can have a few iterations, make sure you approve it, make sure it represents the perfect customers you're looking to bring into the business. Now that document can be the reference for all the content that you produce in future. It's very difficult for anyone from the marketing agency side to produce incorrect content because they've got a reference which has the exact right words, has the exact right content. And then over time, you start producing content that's very specific, very consistent, speaks to the exact right audience, brings in the exact right customers. Very powerful. Create a client avatar at the start of the project before any ads or any videos or any content is produced. Okay, the final one, really important, inexperienced communication, such a killer in B2B growth engagement. So when it comes to a service of B2B business growth, that's a very difficult service. That requires a lot of experience in growing online businesses. You need to have been on the ground, in the trenches and grown an online business. You need to be discussing metrics. You need to be strategizing metrics like revenue, qualified pipeline, customer lifetime value, sales close rates, profit margins, that sort of thing. You shouldn't be strategizing followers, clicks, leads, impressions. Those are all marketers' metrics, not really relevant to the success of the business. Otherwise, the advice is solely based around just putting pictures on the newsfeed. That's very different from bringing real business growth, real revenue growth to your business. So the solution here is have regular strategy sessions with the agency director or someone in that agency that's got real world experience in growing online businesses. If they've built a business, they can give so much more insight than just, what your ads are doing on the newsfeed. An experienced agency owner will be able to change the trajectory of your entire business because they've had so much experience in very similar businesses. They've been right inside very similar businesses to yours. So they bring all of that experience, all of that data, all of that insight into your business from the start. It's such a profound advantage. But the same responsibility is on you as a client. B2B business growth is really challenging. So you need to communicate really clearly. If something is wrong or not quite right, you need to communicate that to your agency, preferably the director. You're going to need to be speaking about business metrics. You're going to need to be speaking about your numbers, your revenue, your profit margins, what you're thinking, challenges in the business, because your marketing impacts the entire business if it's being done professionally. Your marketing agency is meant to be your growth partner. So don't treat them like a sort of outsourced intern that's putting pictures up on the newsfeed. You really want to treat them as a partner in your business growth. If you can solve those 4 problems, then you'll never really have too many issues with a marketing agency. If they're not able to deliver that type of result, then you'll know instantly just by the measurements. And if you're the one that's holding the project back, you'll also know instantly when you have the right measurements in place and you have the right infrastructure in place. So number 1, measure by qualified pipeline, not by number of leads, not by cost per lead or anything silly like that. Have a clear, measurable dashboard that shows you results in real time. That's very difficult to hack. Everyone has a clear view of whether the campaign's going or not. Create a really well-researched client avatar. So all of the content is almost immediately approved and it's very relevant to the exact type of people you're trying to bring into the business. And finally, communicate closely with a marketing agency owner so that you're strategizing with someone who's got real world experience in building businesses. If you get those four right, then you're on your way to epic B2B business growth.